Today I'm going to tell you how I set up my public transportation network in my 100k population metro region and the principles I used to design it so it's super efficient and covers basically every part of the city. But at first we have to speak about the transit hierarchy of the different modes of transit. We start with planes and then we'll follow regional commuter trains, metros, trams and buses for the last mile. Planes sit at the top of the transit hierarchy. They are used for long-distance travel, often between cities, countries or continents. They have very high speed and capacity, but relatively low frequency compared to ground-based transit. Their main role is to connect distant regions that cannot be easily or quickly reached by rail or road. Regional or intercity trains are designed to connect cities and suburbs across medium to long distances. They offer high capacity and relatively high speeds. These trains are crucial for daily commuting in metropolitan areas and form the backbone of regional mobility systems. Their frequency is generally high during peak hours and moderate at other times. Subways are high-capacity urban rail systems operating mostly underground or on exclusive tracks. They serve dense urban areas with high frequency and reliability. While their speed is moderate due to frequent stops, their ability to move large volumes of people quickly makes them central to a city's public transportation network. Trams operate at street level and serve local corridors within cities. They have moderate capacity and speed and are especially useful in city centers or for connecting neighborhoods to major transit hubs. Trams are less costly to build than subways and offer a good balance between coverage and efficiency. Buses are at the base of the hierarchy. They offer the most flexible service, operating on regular roads and reaching areas that fixed rail systems do not. Their capacity is lower and their speed depends heavily on traffic conditions. However, buses play a crucial role in local and last-mile connectivity and are essential for serving low-density or peripheral areas. This hierarchy is not rigid. Many systems blend modes depending on geography, budget and urban planning goals, but overall, each level supports the next, forming a layered and integrated transit network. But let's take a look now on how I designed the public transportation system in my city. In the last video, we finally built the international airport, therefore the inhabitants can now fly directly from Fort Francia Bay to business trips in other countries or to their vacation destinations. The airport will also be accessible by various means of transportation such as regional trains, subway trains or buses, but we'll have to build that in upcoming videos from the series. As a layout, I decided on an airport with two intersecting runways at a 90-degree angle so planes can start and arrive during all wind conditions. The best part is that the whole airport build is also fully functional. However, we still have to develop the area around the airport. The inhabitants can actually also arrive by ship. The city is located on a bay that serves as a natural harbor, and we have a passenger terminal that is also directly connected to the city center via metro. Right next to the city center is also the largest transport hub of the city, the central station. Here is where all the lines converge, so it functions as the main distribution and transfer location of the entire city, from where all the lines run in a star shape to the surrounding areas, neighborhoods and suburbs. But before we get to the inner city means of transport, let's go back to the most important part, without which nothing would even work: the depots and maintenance yards. There is a metro maintenance depot almost in the city center from where all lines can be reached. It has direct access to the lines that run through the main station, but doesn't have such a high capacity because I couldn't upgrade it because of the limited space around it. Unfortunately, most depots haven't really been realized in the city area yet, so they are located outside at the end of the lines. We also have a maintenance yard for regional trains and freight trains. This one is located here right next to the highway at the periphery of the urban core. There is also a tram depot at the end of the line. However, the trams are actually only located in the immediate vicinity of the city center and don't run into the suburban parts of town. The city doesn't really have a well-developed suburban rail system, but the normal railways rather serve as a connection to the outside world and to other cities in the larger surrounding area. There are 1 or 2 stations within the city, but the main destination and terminal is of course the main station, where all regional lines have a stop or end here. I tried to separate passenger and cargo rail traffic as good as possible, so smooth operations are guaranteed and slower cargo trains won't slow down the passenger service. But this is not everywhere always possible due to lack of space. The backbone of the public transportation in the city is the metro though, which is a mix of subway within the urban area and then more of a suburban train in the suburbs with fewer stops and longer distances in between. However, the metro runs differently to what you might usually expect, mostly above ground. This is mainly because I really like seeing the trains above ground, and it's also cooler for first-person rides. So not the typical reasons you might expect. However, the geography of the city is also really challenging. For example, we have a lot of hills and therefore a lot of bridges or very curvy lines. Most of the lines are directly connected to the central station. These run then in all different directions so that practically every part of the city is served by the metro. Of course, there are also a few tunnels, as there is no other way to get over some mountains. I have also tried to always connect different lines with the transfer station when they intersect so that you can switch smoothly between different lines and also between different modes of transportation. There are usually bus stations around the metro stations or streetcar stops for the last mile transfer, as we learned in the transit hierarchy. Of course, the geography also has an influence on where the different modes of transportation run. The city is crisscrossed by a lot of hills, and of course you can't run train tracks along the hillsides because the gradient would be far too steep, so we have bus and streetcar services in these areas. These can overcome much steeper gradients and thus connect the neighborhoods that are located on the hills around the city. The tram actually only runs in the area around the immediate city center, as it is not found at all in the sister city around the fort. But in order to really cover every neighborhood with public transport, we still have the various bus lines that run along the main streets through the different neighborhoods and usually end at the central bus station or at the various metro stations. What I also paid attention to is that the lines have a uniform color scheme, so that the vehicles from different lines are still always the same color. For example, the metro is in the steel/aluminum gray and the buses are simply white. I hope you enjoyed this little overview of my city's public transportation system, and maybe I could inspire you a bit to take your public transportation system to the next level so that we can reduce car traffic and offer the citizens more alternatives for traveling. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to have access to the city's save game, I would be more than happy if you would visit my Patreon page. There you will find everything you need, as well as graphic settings and mod lists. I would like to thank all my patrons for their amazing support, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.